Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about episode 6, Hangar Heist. And before we begin the video, if you want to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, and you'll be notified when more videos are released. Before we begin the video, if you want to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as notification bell, and it'll tell you when more videos are released. And also, if you want to win one of these power coins or movie coins, then stick around to the end of the video to find out why. And I'll also announce the winner of the last coin from last week's video. We're continuing on with the secret hangar that is in the actual area, and you kind of think that they would hide it a little bit better because it's just completely and utterly on show. A 3D model of it, but it's on show. And in the next scene, we jump to Nate and Devon entering the base. And Nate is basically looking at all the code, all the data that is from the last one, which was Slicertron, and he's pouring through all the data that's there. But when I first saw this, I generally thought he was looking at a blue screen of death. I was like, oh great. Even the Power Rangers have problems with their technology. Nate discovers that there's lots of coding in the Morphers on where they actually teleport in, etc, etc. So he's able to devise a kind of code or an algorithm now to detect that if they enter the city before they emerge, they'll be able to know straight away. So we can actually see that the Megazord would be there waiting. But to be fair, we know what's going to happen. The Megazord's going to be there anyway because it'll be like, oh my god guys, we've got to go right now. And then that's pretty much it. The reason why Devon is in the base is he needs some Morph X to power the rockets that he and the guys are all going to kind of go in the park and play with, because he wants to make sure the rockets go off with a big bang, or they have more power to it. And Nate's like, yeah, there you go, gives him a small amount of Morph X and just lets him like go on his way. I generally think this is when the episode goes back on itself, and I actually really didn't like this. So everyone's in the park. We have Ravi using his rocket and everyone's like, ooh, that's really cool. Then we have Ben and Betty with their rockets and they're like, oh, this is really cool. And it kind of like chases them because obviously the rocket's gonna go crazy, and then just kind of flies off and then chases them and then flies off into the distance and then just kind of like just disappears. You don't see what happens to the rocket. And this is when Ben and Betty just run off. It's their dad's rocket. It's like, oh crap guys, we must not, we didn't tell dad about this, and they run off for it. This is when Devon actually has his rocket and Ravi's like, that's not gonna work. Something's wrong with it. We find out it's a part on the rocket. I think it's like the fins or something that have been put in the wrong place, so it's not gonna fly properly. Devon's like, nah mate, I've just played this video game. I've played like this simulator to make rockets, so I know this is gonna work perfectly. When the rocket flies off and it kind of crashes down because it's not designed properly, which you kind of think when you look at it, you go, yeah, I see what you mean. Devon goes into this sort of rage. He's more like, or dismissive. When Ravi's like, no, this is wrong, Devon's like, how dare you talk to me like that? I'm the better one, you don't know anything. That's the sort of tone. And you generally think that this sort of attitude would have been kind of fizzled out by now or non-existent, or if Devon had it at the very beginning and didn't listen to his team, that's when it steps in. But to me, I found this very kind of weird for the character, since what we've seen in I think the second episode or the first episode, where he's quite calm and collective. Meanwhile, in the cyber dimension, we have Evox talking to Scruzzle and Blaze and Roxy and saying like he wants to get out. He basically just wants a plan to work, and they're all failing him. When kind of Blaze walks forward and says something, Evox just blasts him and throws him away. You kind of think that, hang on a minute, they're helping you. Without them, you can't do anything. So you kind of think Evox would be a bit more understanding, but he just doesn't care. He doesn't care whatsoever. So he instructs them all to go off for the plan and tells Scruzzle to go off with them too. We come to a scene where all the Rangers are in a simulation and they're battling a Gigadrone, and they've got to kind of form a Megazord, and everything's going smoothly when Devon decides to take the lead. But when Ravi's like, no, we can't do this, Devon just goes, no, we got to hit him with this, this will work, I've knocked him back. And then all of a sudden, the Gigadrone shoots the missiles and kind of disables the Zords or the simulation. Ravi explains to him and says like, I've done this, we've got to put the shields up, we've got to do this beforehand. And Devon just loses again. He's like, how dare you? When Ravi says, look, I've been in a simulation with Blaze and Roxy before, and this is how we did it, Devon just loses it. And again, this is something that is backtracking on the character, which I didn't really like. Again, you think he'd be like, okay, you have more experience, let's talk about this. and we'll go with your lead rather than it's my way or the highway, because he's running on his instinct. So he thought, oh, I'll attack, this will be better. And when Ravi's like, yeah, but I've had more experience, Devon just loses and just leaves. And you kind of think, Devon, really? Listen to the person who's actually been trained. You have not been trained yet, and you're learning. Ravi is the best one for the job. As he leaves, the commander kind of catches up to him and says, like, what the hell's gone on? And we find out that Devon goes like, oh, this is my instinct, my gut, I go with it all the time. And the commander's like, yeah, you're good at this, you got the Giga drone, you did all this perfectly, but you've got to listen to your teammates. That's what being a ranger is, that's what being the leader is, listening to your teammates. But then Devon just looks really pissed off. We jump to a scene where Ben and Betty are looking for the rocket, and I think this is possibly one of the funniest scenes in the entire episode, where they're looking for it, they can't find it. Ben's like, well, what are we going to do? And Betty's like, no, we've lost it. And then it just kind of drops down in a tree, and she's like, oh, there it is. And it just kind of made me laugh a little bit, because it was just that kind of like, oh, there it is. I don't know what it was. It was funny to me. As Ben grabs the rocket, he notices that one of the engines hasn't fired. And he goes like, oh, one didn't go off. So it's like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. And then they notice Roxy, and she's come to the secret base that Scruzzle has found. As they kind of go like, oh, we've got to sneak away. Now, one thing I didn't understand is there's a whole vast area that you could have gone. You could have gone far into the background and through the trees, rather than going and trying to tiptoe and then going past her where she's going to see you. So I don't know why they didn't go a different way, or it was just kind of weird. With this, Roxy actually spots them, she pulls her weapons out, she blasts the rocket, and it does a team rocket thing where it flies off into the distance, but the rope from the parachute wraps around their legs and pulls Ben and Betty away. And again, it was a team rocket moment. I would have just loved seeing a ding in the background, just to kind of give a nod to that. I think that would have been cool. That's what I would have done in the series. Just before Ben and Betty, Roxy has asked Scruzzle to send something to help her get through the steel. And this is when Scruzzle has turned around and gone, well, I've got some acid here. I'm going to turn it into a monster. And this is, I think his name's Meltron or Meltatron, which again, I'm guessing all these robots are just going to be called Trons at the end. Alright, that's cool. Meltron arrives at the base and just kind of like blasts all the area, melting the door so that they can go in. They know that Slicertron is downstairs and it's kind of chained up. And this is when Roxy and Meltron walk down and they actually find it. And I don't know what it is about Roxy. It's just her sass in her voice is just the best thing in this entire whole season so far. And I really like it. The Rangers turn up and they go straight into the base because they've seen the damage on the door. And when they arrive down there, they stop Roxy, but beforehand, what she's done is she's put Morph X into the robot. Now, this is what I would have done. I would have filled up Slicertron and then teleported him out, because he would have had more Morph X for you rather than just having a small amount. That would have made more sense rather than just destroying the base. Or I would have come back much later on and teleported in and I would steal more Morph X. There are a few things I would do differently if I was an evil avatar. I should be an evil avatar because I'd get that Morph X really, really quickly, and I think I'd be cool as an evil person. I need to make this happen. The Rangers and Meltron start fighting, and this is when Slicertron powers up as soon as he's kind of fully charged. Just before Roxy leaves, she shuts down the base so it all locks down, and she ties up the Rangers so they're not able to kind of do anything. When Roxy teleports out, Ravi just breaks the chains or the kind of piping, grabs Devon, throws him out the door so that he can actually help. Devon's like, what are you doing? I can't help you. And Ravi says, look, get to your Zord. You can open the door and we can get out. This is the best one because you've got a Zord. Again, I don't know why Ravi just didn't say, Commander, send me my Zord, because that can turn into a thing with missiles. So with this, Devon rushes out. He gets on his bike and then they go off and they get the Racer Zord, which then comes along, boom, transforms into a Megazord. Meanwhile, in the room, we have Ravi and we have Zoe, and they're fighting Meltron as well as kind of dodging Slicertron. This is when, and I generally think this is a really good thing, it's when Scruzzle teleports in and he starts stealing things. He's like, yep, gonna have that. Oh, that's really good. And he takes the robot head, which we all know is going to be a Ranger later on, but I think he's going to be evil, so that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. As the Rangers notice that Scruzzle is there, he teleports out. He's like, see ya, and then tells Roxy, oh yeah, there are only 2 Rangers in that room. You know, what happened there? And Roxy's like, oh God, no. Oh no, send a Gigatron in, we need more. And then Scruzzle's like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Makes a Gigadrone, sends it off, so now there are going to be 2. Ravi and Zoe have turned around and beaten Meltron. With these sorts of scenes, I found it kind of difficult to determine what was Sentai footage and what was American footage. And do you know what? It's really good blending. I'm guessing it was half and half Sentai footage that they used. So with Meltron down, the Gigadrone is out, and basically Devon has grabbed it and using the acid from that Gigadrone to melt the door open. So both Ravi and Zoe just jump out, and then their Zords are on the way as well. The commander sent their Zords. It now gets to the point where they want to form the Megazord, and Devon listens to Ravi all the time on this one. You know, he's accepted it. You know, he's the one to regulate the shields, and while the Zords all kind of form together to make the Megazord. And I've got to admit, 6 episodes in and we're now getting the Megazord. I generally like that, but I know obviously that was in the Go Buster footage. We get a very quick fight, and I generally thought we'd get more Megazord fight, but it's over within, like, say, about a minute. And I was like, oh, I kind of really want to see more Megazord fighting. But again, lack of Sentai footage probably, or the Sentai footage was really quick. We're now in the cyber dimension again, and Evox is having a go at Blaze and Roxy and saying, like, you know, your plan failed. Scruzzle's more like, you know, you guys have failed, you've wasted more Morphex energy. And then turns around to Evox and says, hey, you know, we've got that plan that we've got. This is when Blaze is like, what plan is this? Come on, you know, you've got to tell us. So he pulls out his weapon and he's like, you know, you're going to be silent for this. Because they're obviously mocking each other. Evox tells Blaze and Roxy that they need to, like, pull their fingers out. They need to up their game, otherwise he'll get Scruzzle to turn them into Tronics. And this scares them. Again, I'm not guessing it's the being turned into a Tronics. I think it's just literally being scared of Evox, which is now going to kind of motivate them a little bit more. We come to a close on the episode, and where Zoe is bringing Ben and Betty along, and Devon and Ravi have actually made the rocket better, and they've fixed it. They've done all the stuff that they need to do. So with this, the whole episode kind of ends because the rocket's been fixed and it goes off and everybody's happy. Kind of round this all up, Devon kind of acknowledges that he has been a jerk and he should have listened, and Ravi's like, yeah, it's all cool, don't worry. And that's when the episode ends. So now, what are my thoughts? I like this episode to some degree, but it felt like a major step back in Devon's kind of character buildment, and I generally didn't like it. You kind of think that maybe Devon would have been like this at the very beginning, where he doesn't trust them, but it feels like in the first 5 episodes he trusts his teammates, and then all of a sudden he doesn't, and I don't know why they actually did that to the character. So to me, it's a bit like, I was kind of thinking that Scruzzle's and Evox's plan to probably get Evox out of it. Scruzzle's going to make a robot body for him. I generally think that I would have liked that plan to be kind of mentioned a little bit more. Or if you weren't going to mention it at all, have it as a big surprise, you know, or do what they did with like the White Light episode from Mighty Morphin, where Billy found the White Ranger, but no one knew, so it's kind of a big mystery. So I kind of think that you would see different parts all over. Or maybe you'd have seen the very end episode where everyone leaves and then Scruzzle's more like, I've got the robot head now. Oh, this is going to be interesting. And then kind of do something like that. But to be fair, the entire episode was actually really decent. I just think it was a huge, massive step back for character development for Devon only. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is kind of it for the video. But before we end it right there, I want to announce the winner from the last week's episode, which is Mark Rance, who actually comments on the video. And again, the only person that commented. I thought there would be more people. So if you want the coin, then just email me on the channel and I'll get back to you and I'll ship them out as soon as possible. So Ranger Nation, your chance to win this movie coin. All you have to do is leave a comment on the video talking about your favorite moment from the show. You have to be subscribed as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll announce the winner for this coin in the next video when it happens. So Ranger Nation, I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. If you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Check the cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And as always, Ranger Nation, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.